Chapter 1: The Prince with the Chain Mark. The capital welcomed Lin Yao with open gates and lowered eyes. That was the first warning. No city bowed like that without being taught. Soldiers at the eastern gate dropped to one knee before her escort had crossed the bridge. Merchants along the avenue folded their hands and bent their heads. Even children stopped mid-play, palms pressed together, faces solemn with an obedience too old for their small bodies. Wei Han rode beside Lin Yao, expression carved from stone. "This is not respect," he said. "No," Lin Yao replied, "respect breathes." Behind them, Shen Kaiangsu's hand rested over the hidden mark of the Western Dragon Seal. Princess Lion rode with the covered sea mirror strapped in a lacquered case across her saddle. The mirror had not spoken since they left Heijing, but its silence felt watchful. The Heavenly Bell mark in Lin Yao's palm remained cool. That troubled her most. If the capital had been conquered by lies, the bell should have rung until her bones ached. Instead, the city offered silence, order, and faces filled with the peaceful terror of people who believed they had chosen to obey. At the palace gate, 100 officials waited in formal robes. Their leader, Grand Secretary Pei, bowed so deeply his hat nearly touched the stone. "Guardian Princess," he said, "His Highness Prince Rui has been expecting you." Lin Yao dismounted. "Has he?" "He woke 3 days ago. The physicians call it a miracle. The court calls it a sign." "And what do you call it?" Pei's smile trembled. "A relief." The bell did not ring. Inside the palace, everything looked the same and wrong. The red pillars gleamed. Incense drifted beneath carved eaves. Servants moved with flawless quiet, yet every corridor seemed to lean toward the central throne hall, as if the palace itself had learned where to kneel. Prince Rui waited in the Hall of Returning Light. He stood by an open window in plain white robes, thinner than Lin Yao remembered. The demon vein that had once darkened his chest was gone. His face held no fever, no madness, no visible shadow. When he turned, his eyes were clear. "Lin Yao," he said. Wei Han's hand shifted toward his sword. Rui noticed and smiled sadly. "General Wei, I deserve that." Lin Yao approached slowly. "Do you remember the Western Gate?" "Pieces." Rui looked down at his hands. "Smoke, cold iron, a voice wearing my own thoughts, then waking here with everyone telling me I survived." His left sleeve slipped as he moved. Around his wrist lay a black mark shaped like a chain. Not ink, not scar. It seemed to rest both on the skin and beneath it, each link narrow and perfect. When Lin Yao looked directly at it, her throat tightened with the sudden instinct to listen. The sea mirror case clicked softly on Lion's saddle outside the hall. Rui followed Lin Yao's gaze and covered the mark. "They are afraid of it." "Are you?" "Every moment." The bell warmed. "Truth." Kaiangsu stepped forward. "Has it spoken?" Rui's smile became smaller, not in words. "Then how?" "As certainty." He looked toward the courtyard where officials waited in rows. "I think of disorder, and I know how to end it. I hear 2 ministers argue, and I know which one should yield. I see a grieving mother, and I know what command would stop her pain." Lin Yao said, "Pain is not rebellion." "No," Rui's eyes shone. "But wouldn't it be mercy if we could end both?" The chain mark tightened. Every official in the courtyard knelt at once. No order had been spoken. No guard had moved. Rui's face drained of color. "I did not mean to." The heavenly bell finally rang. Not at Rui. At the room. At the palace. At the empire that had spent centuries teaching people that peace and obedience were the same word. Rui gripped his marked wrist with his other hand. "I only want to save everyone." The chain tightened again. This time, Lin Yao felt the command brush against her own heart like silk, drawn over a blade. "Kneel," it whispered. Chapter 2: The Palace That Kneels. By sunset, Lin Yao understood that the capital had not been seized. It had softened. That made the danger harder to cut. No soldiers blocked the streets. No demon banners hung from the palace walls. No minister shouted orders in Prince Rui's name. Instead, the city moved with tender precision. Grain carts were redirected before anyone complained. Tax collectors forgave debts without being asked. Prison wardens opened cells for old men and sick women. Everywhere Lin Yao looked, mercy appeared, and beneath it lay a silence with teeth. At dinner, Grand Secretary Pei presented a list of reforms approved since Rui's awakening. His Highness suggested these in private conversation, Pei said. Naturally, the ministries recognized their wisdom. Wei Han read the list, naturally. Lower salt tax, release minor offenders, punish corrupt granary clerks, repair flood roads, restrict public assemblies until the people were calmer. Lin Yao tapped the final line. Who added this? Pei blinked. It follows from the rest. Does it? If relief is distributed while rumors spread, panic may form. His voice remained gentle. His Highness worries for the people. The heavenly bell did not ring. Pei believed every word. Su pushed the paper away. The dragon seal hates this place. It hates cowardice, Pei asked politely. It hates commands disguised as care. The minister's smile remained. His eyes emptied. For 1 second, every candle flame in the room leaned toward the throne hall. Then Pei bowed. I will consider your insight. He left with perfect courtesy. Princess Lion uncovered the sea mirror only after the doors shut. The silver surface showed the dining hall as it was, then as it wanted to be. Everyone seated in assigned places, speaking only when useful, smiling, because grief had been scheduled for appropriate hours. The chain does not need chains, Lion said. It edits desire. Wei Han stood by the window, watching the courtyard. No one thinks they are prisoners. Because the cage flatters them, Lin Yao said. The palace bell rang for evening rites. Every servant in the corridor knelt. Then every guard. Then in the dining hall, Wei Han's knees bent. Lin Yao moved faster than thought and caught his arm before he touched the floor. His face was blank with shock. General, she said. He looked down at himself as if his body had betrayed him. I did not choose that. The heavenly bell rang once. Truth. Su drew the dragon seal's power into her palm. Gold light flared, but dimmed immediately under the palace incense. The rites are part of it, she said. Lion's reflection in the sea mirror nodded before Lion did. Every bow taught in childhood, every oath sworn before ancestors, every rank, every ritual, every beautiful reason to lower the head. Wei Han pulled his arm from Lin Yao's grasp. Shame moved across his face, sharp and private. It used discipline, he said. It used training, Lin Yao corrected, not weakness. He did not answer. Outside, Prince Rui crossed the courtyard with 2 physicians and a line of kneeling officials behind him. He saw Wei Han standing rigid in the window and stopped. Even from above, Lin Yao saw Rui's horror. He lifted his marked wrist and pressed it against his chest as if trying to smother it. The officials remained kneeling. Rui looked up at Lin Yao. Help me, his face said. But behind him, in the long shadow of the throne hall, another shape moved. A woman in dark imperial robes watched from the pillars. The Empress Dowager had arrived. Chapter 3, The Dowager's Command. The Empress Dowager did not hurry. She crossed the courtyard as if every stone had been placed for the convenience of her feet. Courtiers bent lower when she passed. Guards dropped their eyes. Even Prince Rui straightened with the reflexive obedience of a boy who had once been corrected for breathing too loudly near power. Lin Yao met her in the Hall of Ancestors. It was a room built to make refusal feel vulgar. Golden tablets lined the walls. Incense veiled the ceiling. The names of emperors stared down from lacquered plaques, each one a reminder that the living were temporary and the throne was not. The dowager wore black silk embroidered with cranes. Her hair was silver, her face fine-boned and severe. Age had not softened her. It had simply removed everything unnecessary. Guardian princess, she said, you bring storms wherever you travel. I usually find them already forming. A convenient habit. Wei Han stood behind Lin Yao. Su stood to her left. Lion held the covered sea mirror at her right. Prince Rui remained near the doors, watched by physicians who looked more like jailers. The dowager's gaze passed over the 3 artifact bearers. The heavenly bell, the dragon seal, and the sea mirror, she said. The empire bleeds, and children carry knives through the palace calling it destiny. Kayingsu smiled without warmth. Some knives cut bindings. Some cutthroats by accident. Lin Yao said, "You know what is on Rui's wrist." "I know the empire has survived, because someone always accepts the burden of command." The heavenly bell mark warmed. "Not a lie." Lin Yao stepped closer. "That is not an answer. It is the only answer that matters." The dowager lifted one hand, and attendants entered with a jade tray. On it lay 3 empty silk wrappings. "Surrender the artifacts to the throne. The prince will be contained. The court will manage the unrest. The people will be spared panic." Wei Han gave a low laugh. "The same speech everywhere we go." The dowager looked at him. "General, you mistake repetition for falsehood. Food, law, walls, armies, taxes, lies, ceremonies. Empires survive by repeating what works." Princess Lion uncovered the sea mirror. Silver light spilled across the ancestor tablets. The dowager's eyes sharpened, but she did not look away. "Bold," she said. "Necessary," Lion answered. The mirror showed the dowager as a young woman kneeling in the same hall. Her hair was black then, her hands clenched in her sleeves. Before her stood an old emperor with a chain-shaped mark around his wrist, faded but visible. He touched her forehead and spoke words the mirror did not let them hear. Young dowager rose. Around her own wrist, for one heartbeat, the chain mark appeared. Rui inhaled sharply. Lin Yao turned back to the old woman. "You were a host." "For 13 days. The dowager's voice held no shame. "Long enough to understand why weak rulers fear it and strong rulers are tempted by it." "And you hid that." "I survived it." The heavenly bell rang. "Truth." The dowager's gaze fixed on Lin Yao. "Do not look so disappointed. You have used power too. You have commanded soldiers, exposed secrets, broken families with truth, and called the damage justice because your intentions were cleaner than your enemies." Lin Yao said nothing. "The chain is dangerous," the dowager continued. "But so is a princess who believes refusal is always virtue. Give me the artifacts." Rui took one step forward. "Grandmother, no." Every official in the hall flinched as if struck. The dowager turned. For the first time, emotion crossed her face. Not anger. Fear. "You see," she whispered, "already it speaks through him." Rui's chain mark darkened. The ancestor tablets began to tremble. One by one, the names of dead emperors bowed toward the prince. Chapter 4: The Court of Gentle Orders. The next morning, Prince Rui pardoned 300 prisoners. By noon, the capital loved him for it. The proclamation was read in every market square. Minor thieves, debtors, old smugglers, starving mothers, and students arrested for forbidden pamphlets were released under imperial mercy. Families wept in the streets. Merchants praised the prince's compassion. Temple bells rang until the air shook. Lin Yao stood on a balcony above the Ministry of Justice and watched joy become obedience. "He did a good thing," Kayingsu said. "Yes." "That is the problem, isn't it?" "Yes." Below, Prince Rui moved among the freed prisoners without guards. He accepted their thanks with visible discomfort. His chain mark was hidden beneath a white sleeve, but every time someone knelt to him, the fabric tightened around his wrist. Wei Han watched the crowd. No riot, no unrest, no blood. Princess Lion stood with the sea mirror covered in her arms, and 3 pamphlet printers were not among those released. Lin Yao looked at her. "They were moved before dawn," Lion said. "No public charge, no record. The mirror caught their names in a clerk's reflection." Kayingsu's expression hardened. Mercy for the visible, silence for the inconvenient. They found Rui in the prison courtyard after the crowd dispersed. He looked exhausted, but relieved. "I heard about the printers," Lin Yao said. His relief vanished. "I did not order it." The heavenly bell stayed silent. "Did you think it?" Lion asked. Rui closed his eyes. There was the answer. "They were spreading panic," he said quietly. "One pamphlet claimed the chain had already replaced me. Another called for burning the palace gates. I thought they should be kept somewhere safe until people calmed down." Wei Han's voice was low. "Safe where?" Rui looked at the prison doors. The chain mark moved beneath his sleeve like a living thing. "I do not know," he whispered. Inside the palace, court session began under golden light. Rui sat below the throne, not on it. The dowager occupied the screen behind him. That arrangement should have reassured people. Instead, every minister angled his body toward Rui. A border governor requested emergency authority. Rui said, only until the roads are secure. The court approved. A tax minister proposed grain audits. Rui said, begin with officials who have already been accused. The court approved. A censor asked permission to investigate rumors about artifact corruption. Rui hesitated. The chain mark flashed black. Not now, he said. The people need trust. The court approved. Kayingsu stepped forward, gold light gathered at her chest. The dragon seal requests witness. Silence fell. In the West, that phrase had moved soldiers to courage. In this hall, it struck the air and died. The dragon seal did not answer. Kayingsu staggered, as if a door had closed inside her. Rui rose, witness Shen. Do not, she said, voice strained. I only. Do not make concern into a command. The court murmured. The dowager's eyes narrowed behind the screen. Lin Yao placed one hand on Kayingsu's shoulder. The heavenly bell mark warmed, but the hall's ceremony pressed down on it like silk over flame. Rui looked around at ministers, guards, kneeling scribes, carved dragons, ancestral gold. I am trying, he said. The words were true. That was what frightened Lin Yao. Because the sovereign chain did not need a cruel prince. It only needed a good one who believed peace justified the first silence. Chapter 5, The First Link. Wei Han's oath turned against him at dusk. It began with a sealed order delivered by a servant who cried while handing it over. The paper bore no imperial seal, only Prince Rui's private mark and a single sentence written in his careful hand. For her own safety, Guardian Princess Lin Yao is not to leave the palace tonight. Wei Han read it once. Then he stepped in front of Lin Yao's chamber door. Lin Yao looked at him. Move. His jaw tightened. I cannot. Cannot or will not. Both. The heavenly bell rang softly. Truth. Kayingsu drew her sword halfway. General. Wei Han did not look away from Lin Yao. Do not make this harder. Princess Lion uncovered the sea mirror. In its silver surface, Wei Han's reflection stood behind Lin Yao with a blade through his own chest. Around the reflection's throat curled a black chain. It is using his oath, Lion said. Wei Han's face remained controlled, but sweat gathered at his temple. I swore to protect you. Not imprison me. If leaving puts you in danger, the difference becomes argument. That is the chain speaking. No, he said, and pain cracked through the word. That is the worst part. It sounds like me. Lin Yao understood then why ancient rulers had feared the artifact. A command shouted from outside could be resisted. A command shaped like one's own devotion slipped past every guard. She stepped closer. Wei Han's hand moved to his sword. Kayingsu went still. Lin Yao stopped one pace from the blade. You once told me an oath is not a cage. I remember. Then prove it. His fingers shook. The chain tightened invisibly. The air around him darkened link by link, not metal but meaning, duty, loyalty, protection, fear. From the hallway came footsteps. Palace guards approached, faces calm, orders ready. Lin Yao did not turn. Wei Han, she said. If you obey this because you choose to, I will accept your choice. If you obey because fear has borrowed your voice, then I need you to be braver than obedience. His eyes closed. For a breath, nothing moved. Then Wei Han drew his sword. Kayingsu raised hers. But Wei Han did not point the blade at Lin Yao. He turned it against the doorframe and cut the threshold in half. The invisible chain around him snapped with a sound like ice breaking. He dropped to one knee, not in obedience, but because his strength failed. Go, he said. Lin Yao caught his shoulder. We go together. The order was to stop you. And you did, for almost a minute, very impressive. Despite the pain, he gave a breath of a laugh. The guards reached the corridor. Kayingsu stepped forward, dragon seal blazing at last. The guardian princess is leaving. One guard said, His Highness worries. His Highness may write in his diary. Gold fire filled the hallway. They escaped through servant passages while palace bells rang behind them. Lion led the way by following reflections in water jars and polished door hinges. The sea mirror revealed 3 patrols before they turned corners. Twice, Lin Yao heard Rui's voice calling her name from halls where he was not present. At the old archive gate, they found the 3 missing pamphlet printers. They were alive. They were calm. They were copying confessions that all began with the same line. I was wrong to disturb the peace. Lin Yao tore the first page in half. Every prisoner looked up. From somewhere deep in the palace, Prince Rui screamed. Chapter 6, The Bell Under Silk. The heavenly bell fell silent in the ancestral shrine. Lin Yao had expected guards. She had not expected songs. When she, Wei Han, Kaiangsu, and Lion entered the shrine beneath the East Archive, 100 palace women knelt in white robes, chanting the old rites of imperial protection. Their voices wove through incense smoke, soft and precise. Each verse praised peace. Each verse named obedience as the root of mercy. Each verse wrapped around Lin Yao's palm until the bell mark dimmed under her skin. At the altar, the Empress Dowager waited. This rite was written before your dynasty had its current name, she said. The bell reveals lies. It struggles with truths people have agreed to make sacred. Kaiangsu stepped in front of Lin Yao. Move. No. The dragon seal flickered, then dimmed. The dowager looked almost sorrowful. Children, you think artifacts make you free from history. They only make history notice you. Behind Lin Yao, the rescued pamphlet printers trembled. They had followed because the calm forced into them had cracked, leaving terror behind. One kept repeating that he had a wife. Another could not remember whether his confession was true. Lin Yao lifted her hand. No sound came. The bell was not gone. She felt it beneath the rites, smothered but listening. You see, the dowager said, even truth bows to ceremony when ceremony is old enough. Lin Yao lowered her hand. Wei Han tensed. She is right, Lin Yao said. The dowager's eyes narrowed. The bell cannot ring here because too many people have poured real devotion into these words. Mothers prayed them when sons marched to war. Servants sang them while hiding children during rebellions. Soldiers whispered them dying outside gates. The palace women faltered. Lin Yao stepped between the rows of kneeling singers. But devotion does not make a chain holy. The first clear note trembled under her skin. Not from the artifact. From her voice. If a prayer teaches a child that kneeling is love, then the prayer must change. If a right protects the throne by silencing the people beneath it, then the right is afraid. If an empire survives only because no one is allowed to stand, then it is already falling. The women stopped singing. Silence rang louder than bronze. The dowager's face tightened, careful. No, Lin Yao turned to the altar tablets. That word has guarded every cage in this palace. The heavenly bell answered. One note. Then another. Incense scattered. Silk banners snapped in wind that came from nowhere. The old rite unraveled, not destroyed, but stripped of the command hidden inside it. The kneeling women looked at one another. Slowly one stood. Then 3. Then all of them. The dowager closed her eyes. For the first time, she looked old. You think standing is freedom, she said. No, Lin Yao replied. I think it is the beginning. From above, the palace shook. Prince Rui's voice echoed through the shrine, multiplied by every bronze vessel. Lin Yao, please stop. The chain mark burned through the ceiling in black light. The rescued printers fell to their knees again, hands over their ears. Palace women screamed. Wei Han drew his sword. Kaiangsu's dragon seal finally roared against the shrine walls. Rui's voice broke. If they stop obeying, I can feel all of them. Every fear, every hunger, every grief, I cannot hold it. Lin Yao looked up. The ceiling cracked. Through the split, a chain of shadow descended link by link, searching for her hand. Chapter 7, Rui's Dream of Peace. Lin Yao took the chain. Wei Han shouted her name, but the shrine vanished before his voice reached her. She stood inside Prince Rui's mind. It looked like the capital after rain. The streets were clean, the granaries full. No beggars slept beneath bridges. No officials took bribes. No soldiers dragged farmers from fields. Children ran safely through markets while old women argued over peaches without fear of tax collectors or knives. It was beautiful. That was the second warning. Rui stood in the center avenue wearing simple white robes. Around his wrist, the sovereign chain glowed black and silver. It did not pierce him, it embraced him. "You should not have followed," he said. "You invited me. I begged you to stop. Those can be the same thing." He looked exhausted, not possessed, not empty. That frightened her more than madness would have. "Do you see it?" Rui asked. The city around them brightened. A magistrate refused a bribe because the thought of corruption had been removed before it formed. A cruel husband lowered his hand because anger dissolved into calm. A starving boy passed a food stall, and the owner gave him bread before theft became necessary. "No one hurts anyone," Rui said. "No one betrays. No one abandons duty. No one opens demon gates because fear, ambition, and grief are corrected before they become action." Lin Yao watched a young scholar smile while a black link faded around his throat. "And no one chooses." Rui's face tightened. "Choice gave us the furnace, the western rift, Lintide, the demon gate. Choice also gave us Kayangsu standing in the snow, Wei Han breaking his oath to save it, Lion telling a city to remember, you asking for help." The dream flickered. For a heartbeat, the clean capital became the real one. Hungry, loud, grieving, alive. Rui covered his ears. "I can hear them." Every window opened. Voices poured out, a million wants. Prayers, resentments, secrets, fear of taxes, fear of sons dying, fear of daughters being sold, fear of truth, demons, famine, officials, gods. The chain had gathered all of it and poured it into Rui until command felt like the only way not to drown. He sank to his knees. "I did not want power," he whispered. Lin Yao knelt before him. "I know. At the western gate, something used me. I remember now. It wore my guilt. It said if I opened the way, everyone I failed would be saved. I believed it because I wanted punishment to mean purpose." The chain tightened. "Now it says I can repair everything." "Can you?" Tears slipped down his face. "No." The dream city cracked. Rui seized Lin Yao's hand with desperate strength. "Take it from me." The chain surged toward her wrist. For one instant, Lin Yao felt what it offered. Every corrupt official forced honest, every violent lord disarmed, every frightened citizen soothed, every betrayal stopped before it bloomed. The power was terrible because it would work. She pulled back. Rui sobbed, "Please. If I take it as a chain, I become its host. Then kill me." The words broke the dream. Lin Yao returned to the shrine gasping, the shadow chain wrapped halfway around her palm. Wei Han cut at it. Kayangsu burned it. Lion held the sea mirror before it, forcing the chain to see itself. The link shattered. Above them, in the throne hall, Prince Rui screamed again. This time, the whole capital screamed with him. Chapter 8: The Three Witnesses. The capital began obeying in waves. First the palace, then the ministries, then the inner market. By midnight, entire streets stood silent under lantern light, citizens facing the palace with empty calm. No soldier forced them. No bell summoned them. They simply stopped what they were doing and waited, as if the city had become a body listening for one heartbeat. Lin Yao gathered her allies in the broken shrine. Kayangsu's dragon seal burned steadily now, but its light shook at the edges. Lion's sea mirror reflected too many faces. Wei Han had wrapped cloth around his sword hand because cutting the oath chain had split his palm open. "The chain's inner court is below the palace," Lin Yao said. "Sion told us it begins with reasons. Rui's reason is mercy. The Dowager's reason is order. The Empire's reason is survival." Kayangsu said, "And yours?" Lin Yao met her eyes. "Responsibility." No one softened the truth by looking away. Lion uncovered the sea mirror fully. "Then we break the roads it uses before you go in." "How?" "Witnesses." The words settled between them. Kayangsu stepped first into the mirror's light. Her reflection showed the snow prison, the chain, The moment fear had begged her to stay small and survive quietly. The dragon seal flared. "I was taught obedience by terror," she said. "I break it by choosing fear and moving anyway." Gold fire snapped across the shrine floor, severing black links hidden beneath old military vows. Outside, soldiers across the palace woke from their calm and began shouting in confusion. Lion stepped next. The sea mirror showed Lin Tide sinking, Haging forgetting, her divided self reaching through glass. "I was taught obedience by denial," she said. "I break it by remembering what power calls inconvenient." Silver light burst through the archive shelves. Records flew open. Names erased from palace ledgers reappeared in ink, one after another. Servants gasped as forgotten punishments returned to memory. Wei Han looked at Lin Yao. "Your turn," she asked. "I have no artifact." "No," Lin Yao said, "you have something more stubborn." He laughed once. Then he placed his bloody hand on the shrine floor. "I was taught obedience by love," he said, "by oath, command, rank, and the fear that failing someone means losing the right to stand beside them." His voice roughened. "I break it by refusing to turn protection into possession." Nothing happened. Then the whole shrine shook. Black links hidden around Lin Yao's shadow cracked. She had not seen them until they broke. Wei Han looked up at her, pale but steady. "There, now do not make me regret being eloquent." Lin Yao almost smiled. The three lights, gold, silver, and clear bronze sound, converged at the altar. Stones split open, revealing stairs descending beneath the palace. Cold air rose from below. The dowager stood at the top of the shrine steps, watching. She had heard everything. "You will destroy the mandate," she said. Lin Yao turned. Maybe the mandate was another chain. "Without it, the empire fractures. Then let people choose what holds." The dowager's mouth trembled, but she did not command the guards behind her. Instead, she stepped aside. "Go then," she said, "but if freedom becomes chaos, history will not forgive you." Lin Yao descended into the dark. Behind her came Wei Han, Su, Lion, and the sound of a palace learning to stand. Chapter 9: The Throne Beneath the Throne. The first throne room was buried under the palace, like a secret too heavy to move. The stairs ended in a cavern lined with black stone. No windows, no banners, no ancestral tablets. Only a throne carved from ironwood and wrapped in chains so old they had become part of the grain. Above it hung the sovereign chain. Not the mark on Rui's wrist, not the shadow link spreading through the capital, the artifact itself. It was beautiful in the way a blade is beautiful when it has never missed. Black metal links floated in a circle, each engraved with vows: protect, serve, obey, endure, sacrifice, kneel, love. Lin Yao felt every word as if it had been spoken by someone she trusted. Su drew a sharp breath. "I want to salute it." Lion lifted the sea mirror. "I want to apologize to it." Wei Han said nothing, which meant he wanted something worse. In the center of the chamber, Prince Rui knelt before the old throne. Chains ran from the artifact into his wrist, chest, throat, and shadow. His eyes were open. Tears had dried on his face. "You came," he said. Lin Yao stepped forward. The sovereign chain moved. Every link turned toward her. Rui's body arched as if pulled by invisible hooks. "No, do not look at her." The artifact did not speak with a voice. It spoke with recognition. Lin Yao saw herself as the chain saw her, reborn from betrayal, sharpened by truth, loved by soldiers, feared by corrupt officials, obeyed already by people who trusted her judgment more than their own. She had resisted thrones, titles, worship, and still gathered authority everywhere she walked. A better host. The thought was not hers. It entered the chamber like a verdict. Wei Han stepped between her and the artifact. The chain ignored him. Su's dragon seal flared. The chain admired it. Lion raised the sea mirror. The chain reflected nothing. Lin Yao forced herself to breathe. "You cannot have me." The artifact answered by showing her the capital above. Riots beginning where obedience had broken. Prisoners running through alleys. Officials burning records. Soldiers unsure whose orders mattered. Hungry citizens breaking into granaries because no clerk remained calm enough to distribute grain. Then it showed another version. Lin Yao wearing the chain. Corrupt officials confessing. Granaries opening in order. Soldiers protecting markets without brutality. Rui sleeping peacefully, freed from the mark. Wei Han alive. Kaiangsu unbound. Lion's grief honored. The empire wounded but held. The heavenly bell rang once. Not because the vision was false. Because it was incomplete. Rui looked at Lin Yao with horror. It is offering you the clean version. I know. It offered me the same. The chain lowered one link toward her. On its surface was engraved a new word. Necessary. Lin Yao's chest tightened. The artifact had found the door the sea mirror warned her about. Wei Han saw her face and went still. Lin Yao. She did not answer. The chain showed her every person who would suffer if she refused. Then it showed her how easy it would be to save them. Chapter 10, The Offer. The sovereign chain offered Lin Yao peace. Not pleasure, not wealth, not revenge. Peace. That was why she nearly reached for it. The cavern disappeared. She stood on the palace balcony above a capital healed by command. Officials could not steal because dishonesty tightened their throats. Judges could not sell verdicts because law burned in their hands. Generals could not betray borders because oaths became iron in their blood. Children ate. Widows received grain. No village was sacrificed, no drowned kingdom hidden, no prince used as a gate. Every cruel person stopped. Every frightened person rested. Every wrong thing waited for Lin Yao's command to become right. The chain did not say rule. It said protect. Her hand lifted. In the real cavern, Wei Han seized her wrist. Look at me. She did. His face was pale with fear, but he did not command her. That mattered, he only held on. If you choose it, he said, I will fight you. Kaiangsu stepped beside him, so will I. Lion raised the sea mirror, so will every truth you helped free. Lin Yao looked at them and felt the chain adjust. It did not threaten them, it offered to spare them, to let her carry the burden so no one else had to become cruel enough to stop her. The heavenly bell rang. This time, it rang for her answer. Lin Yao opened her mouth. No words came. Because the offer was not a lie. She could do good with it, so much good. Enough good to make the first compromise look small. Enough good that history might praise the cage for being clean. Rui lifted his head from the throne. That is how it begins. The chain tightened around his throat. He forced the words out anyway. It never asks you to become a tyrant. It asks you to prevent the next tragedy, then the next, then the next. One day, no one remembers how to stand without waiting for your mercy. Lin Yao thought of her mother's hand in the mirror garden. Peace built on denial is another prison. She thought of Wei Han's oath breaking without breaking him. Protection is not possession. She thought of Kaiangsu choosing fear and moving anyway. Courage is not the absence of terror. She thought of Lion's City remembering grief. Truth without freedom becomes another weapon. Lin Yao lowered her hand. No. The chain paused. It did not understand refusal dressed in grief. I will not save the empire by making every soul inside it smaller. The cavern returned. The chain struck. Links flew toward her like black lightning. Kaiangsu met them with dragon seal fire. Lion reflected them into the mirror, where they became 1,000 kneeling shadows. Wei Han cut the nearest link before it reached Lin Yao's throat. But one link passed through all 3 defenses. It wrapped around Lin Yao's wrist. For one heartbeat, she felt the capital kneel inside her. Then Rui lunged from the throne and caught the link in both hands. Not her, he said. The chain tore into him. Rui screamed, but did not let go. Chapter 11, The Capital Unbound. When Rui seized the link meant for Lin Yao, the sovereign chain lost patience. The artifact did not roar. It organized. Black light shot upward through the palace foundations, branching into corridors, ministries, barracks, markets, temples, kitchens, and prison cells. Every oath in the capital answered. Every seal warmed. Every soldier's training, every servant's fear, every official's ambition, every parent's desperate wish for safety became a hook. Above, the capital became calm. Too calm. In the cavern, Rui collapsed against the throne with 3 new chain marks burning across his chest. Lin Yao cut one with the Heavenly Bell's sound. Kaiangsu burned another. Lion trapped the third inside the sea mirror, where it writhed like a black eel. Wei Han grabbed Rui under the arm. "Can you stand?" Rui laughed once, breathless. "Royal education did not prepare me for this." "That means no." The cavern shook. From far above came a sound Lin Yao had not heard since Book 2. Demon howls beneath sealed gates. Kaiangsu's face changed. "The old capital wards." Rui looked sick. "The chain is using them." Lin Yao understood. The empire had bound demons, prisoners, armies, taxes, roads, rights, grief. The sovereign chain had been woven into every system that controlled danger. Break the artifact blindly, and every old seal might fail at once. The chain showed her the choice. Save Rui. Break the chain. Hold the wards. Choose to. Lin Yao bared her teeth. "I am very tired of ancient things that cannot count past sacrifice." She turned to Lion. "Can the sea mirror show the city what is happening?" "Yes, it may also cause panic." "Good, panic is movement." Lion smiled grimly and lifted the mirror. Silver light exploded upward. Across the capital, every reflective surface filled with the cavern below. Rui bleeding against the chained throne, Lin Yao standing before the artifact, black links running through the palace like roots. Citizens saw the calm wrapped around their throats. Some screamed. Some fainted. Some reached for the invisible links and began pulling. Kaiangsu drove the dragon seal into the floor. "Soldiers of the capital," her voice carried through the mirror light. "If you can hear me, your fear is real. Move anyway." In barracks across the city, soldiers staggered. Some dropped weapons. Some turned toward demon gates. Some cut the ropes binding their own wrists without knowing when they had been tied. Wei Han shouted next. "Protect the people, not the orders, the people." The distinction cracked through old training like a blade. Lin Yao faced the chain. "You wanted obedience," she said. "Now listen to refusal." The heavenly bell rang through every mirror in the capital. The sound did not break the chain. Not yet. But it gave people something to answer. In the cavern, Rui lifted his head. "Lin Yao." His voice was very quiet. "If this spreads further, the wards fail. Then we stop it. If stopping it requires killing me." Wei Han's hand tightened on Rui's shoulder. Rui looked at the general. "Promise me." Wei Han went still. The chain listened hungrily. Lin Yao said, "No promises." Rui smiled faintly. "That may be the first wise royal policy of my life." Then the throne beneath him opened. Chapter 12, The Prince Who Chose. The throne swallowed Rui. Wei Han caught his sleeve, but the old wood split into black links and dragged the prince down through the floor. Lin Yao followed without thinking. Kaiangsu cursed and leaped after her. Lion held the sea mirror to her chest and stepped into the dark. They fell into the memory, beneath the artifact. There was no cavern now, only the western gate. Rui stood there as he had during the demon disaster, younger by grief, robes torn, face streaked with ash. Around him, courtiers shouted orders. Soldiers died against the gate. A voice from beyond the seal whispered in the language of guilt. "Open and they will live." Rui's hands shook over the gate mechanism. Lin Yao watched the past with her throat tight. "I thought it was sacrifice," Rui said beside her. She turned. The real Rui stood at her side, chain marks burning across him, eyes fixed on his younger self. "I thought if I paid enough, the world would forgive me for being afraid." The younger Rui opened the gate. Demons poured through. The memory froze at the moment, his face changed from hope to horror. The sovereign chain appeared behind him, wrapping one link around his wrist. "It was there," Kaiangsu said. Rui nodded. "Not controlling me, not fully, just making the worst choice feel noble." The memory shifted. Rui as a child kneeling before tutors. Rui told a prince's fear was selfish. Rui told hesitation killed subjects. Rui told obedience to the throne mattered more than truth because the people needed certainty. Link by link, the chain had been prepared long before it touched him. Lion's eyes shone with anger. The host is grown before the artifact arrives. The older Rui stepped toward his younger self. I blamed possession because it was easier, he said. Then I blamed duty because it sounded honorable, but I chose. Lin Yao said, you were used. Yes, he looked back at her, and I chose, both are true. The sea mirror brightened. The heavenly bell rang. The dragon seal flared. 3 artifacts acknowledged a truth without mercy and without cruelty. Rui knelt before his younger self. You were afraid. The boy at the gate began to cry. You wanted to save them. The boy nodded. You opened the gate. The boy flinched. Older Rui placed a hand over the chain mark on the boy's wrist. And now, I choose differently. The sovereign chain surged from the frozen memory, links snapping toward him. Rui seized them. Not as victim. As prince. Not as ruler. As witness. I was taught obedience by guilt, he said. I break it by accepting blame without becoming its servant. The western gate shattered. They returned to the cavern in a storm of black light. Rui stood before the artifact with the chain wrapped around both arms, holding it away from Lin Yao by force of will alone. Blood ran from his nose. Now, he said. Lin Yao raised the heavenly bell. The chain tightened around Rui's heart. Wei Han lifted his sword. Rui looked at him and nodded. If she cannot, he whispered. Wei Han's face broke. Lin Yao heard the unspoken question in the cavern. Could she destroy the chain without destroying its host? The artifact answered by pulling Rui closer. Choose. Chapter 13, The Last Trial. The sovereign chain built Lin Yao a throne. It rose behind her from black light and imperial memory, carved with every title she had refused. Guardian Princess, Bell Bearer, Savior of the Furnace, Breaker of the Western Rift, Witness of the Drowned Kingdom, Necessary One. Rui hung before the artifact, holding the links back with bleeding hands. Kaiangsu fought chains, spreading toward the demon wards. Lion held the sea mirror open to the capital, until tears silvered her face. Wei Han stood with sword raised, waiting for the moment mercy might become cowardice. The chain offered Lin Yao the final choice. Sit and command the artifact. Refuse and watch people suffer freely. The capital appeared around her. Riots, wards cracking, citizens pulling invisible links from their own throats. Some helped one another stand. Some used the chaos to steal, strike, burn, flee. Freedom did not look pure, it looked human. The chain pressed the throne against the back of her knees. Lin Yao nearly fell into it. She thought of the first time she had died. The furnace, the betrayal, the helplessness so complete that rebirth had felt like permission to become unbreakable. She thought of every title afterward. Each one useful. Each one dangerous. Because people had begun to kneel to her too. Not always with bodies, sometimes with trust, sometimes with expectation, sometimes by waiting for her to decide what truth they could survive. Lin Yao looked at the throne. Then at Rui. Then at Wei Han. Do not let me sit, she said. Wei Han's sword lowered a fraction, gladly. The chain trembled. Lin Yao laughed softly. You do not understand, that was not a command. She turned away from the throne and faced the capital through the sea mirror's light. People of the capital, she said. Her voice carried through bronze, mirror, dragonfire, and the cracked old rites beneath the palace. I have been called Guardian Princess. I have accepted that name when it helped people live. I have also hidden inside it when being needed was easier than being known. The chain lashed at her. Kaiangsu cut the link with gold fire. I cannot promise that standing will save you from pain. I cannot promise that freedom will make you wise. I cannot promise that truth will be gentle. The capital listened. But I reject any peace that requires your souls to kneel. The throne behind her cracked. Lin Yao placed both hands over the heavenly bell mark. Before I break the chain, she said, I break the title it wants to use. The artifact recoiled. I am not your necessary one. The heavenly bell rang with a sound, so clear the cavern vanished around it. Above, citizens looked at one another without command. Some ran to the demon gates. Some carried children away. Some formed bucket lines where fires had started. Some still knelt, shaking, unable to rise. And beside them, neighbors reached down. Not because Lin Yao ordered it. Because they chose. The throne shattered. Rui screamed as the chain lost its grip on Lin Yao and tightened everything around him. Wei Han moved. But Lin Yao was faster. She caught the blade before it could fall. Not yet, she said. Chapter 14, The Sound of No One Kneeling. Lin Yao did not strike Rui. She struck the promise holding him. The heavenly bell's sound entered the chain link by link, searching not for metal but meaning. Protect, serve, obey, endure, sacrifice, kneel, love, each word had been holy once. Each had been twisted into a hook. Kainksu drove the dragon seal into the first word. Protection without fear, she said. Gold fire broke protect. Lion raised the sea mirror to the second. Service without erasure. Silver light broke serve. Wei Han placed his bloodied hand on the third. Love without command. Obey cracked. Rui, still trapped at the center, looked up through pain. Guilt without surrender. The link around his heart split. Lin Yao lifted both hands. Duty without kneeling. The sovereign chain screamed. This time, the whole capital heard it. Every person bound by calm felt the hook tear loose. Some collapsed. Some cried. Some laughed in terror. In the northern ward, a demon gate cracked open, but soldiers and citizens together dragged old ceiling stones into place. At the granaries, clerks handed out rice while market women shouted better instructions than any ministry had managed. At the prison, freed men formed a line to carry water to burning roofs. The city did not become peaceful. It became alive. In the cavern, the chain thrashed. Links struck pillars, cracked stone, tore through old imperial seals. The palace above groaned as if the dynasty itself had taken a wound. The Empress Dowager appeared at the chamber entrance. No guards followed her. Her hair had come loose. Dust marked her robes. She looked at the shattered throne, at Rui bleeding, at Lin Yao standing without title before the final artifact. If you break it, she said, the throne loses heaven's mandate. Lin Yao looked at Rui. He smiled through blood. Good. The dowager closed her eyes. Then slowly, she removed the imperial seal from her sleeve and set it on the floor. Then let heaven speak for itself. The axe struck harder than a sword. The old mandate cracked. The sovereign chain tried to flee into the seal, into the palace, into the empire's oldest habit. But the three artifacts converged. The heavenly bell rang truth. The dragon seal held courage. The sea mirror reflected denial until it had nowhere to hide. Lin Yao reached into the storm and took the central link. It burned through her palm. She held anyway. No one kneels, she said. Then she broke it. The sound was not an explosion. It was 1,000 knees lifting from stone. The sovereign chain shattered into black sparks that rose through the palace roof and vanished in the morning sky. Rui fell. Wei Han caught him. For one terrible breath, the prince did not move. Then he coughed. Lin Yao sank to the floor, laughing and crying at the same time because exhaustion had finally become larger than dignity. Above them, the throne hall collapsed inward. Not the palace. Only the throne. The empire survived the sound. But the thing it had knelt to did not. Chapter 15, The Bell After the Throne. The capital did not know what to do with a morning that had no command inside it. For 1 hour after the sovereign chain broke, people simply stood. In markets, barracks, courtyards, kitchens, ministries, temples, and alleys, they waited for the next order. None came. The palace bells hung silent. The throne hall lay cracked open to the sky. The imperial seal rested on the cavern floor where the Empress Dowager had placed it, suddenly no heavier than carved jade. Then a child began to cry because she was hungry. Her mother laughed, then wept, then asked a rice clerk for grain. The clerk looked around for permission. An old market woman slapped the counter. "You have hands, don't you?" So the clerk opened the storehouse. That was how the new empire began. Not with proclamation. With breakfast. Prince Rui lived. He woke 2 days later in a side chamber with no chains on his wrist and no throne in sight. The mark had faded to a pale scar. When Lin Yao visited, He stared at it for a long time before speaking. I still want to fix everything. That may be your worst habit. He smiled faintly. What should I do with it? Make it smaller. Start with one thing. Ask before saving people from themselves. Rui nodded. A radical policy. Terrifying. The Empress Dowager abdicated authority she had never officially held. She did it in public, standing before the broken throne hall, voice steady, while ministers looked as if the floor had disappeared beneath them. The mandate was never proof that one body should carry the empire, she said. It was a story we told because we feared what people might choose without it. No one applauded. That would have been too simple. But no one knelt either. In the weeks that followed, councils formed badly, argued constantly, and improved slowly. Some governors rebelled. Some officials confessed only after being cornered. Some citizens missed the calm of obedience and said so loudly. Freedom arrived without polish. Lin Yao found that honest. The artifacts were not placed on a new throne. The Heavenly Bell remained with Lin Yao for a time, but not as a crown. Kaixu returned west with the Dragon Seal to rebuild border command around witness rather than fear. Princess Lion carried the sea mirror between Heijing and the capital, helping both cities remember what records preferred to forget. Rui, stripped of succession until the councils decided what succession even meant, took charge of repairing the demon wards because guilt still needed somewhere useful to go. Wei Han stayed. At least, he stayed near enough to be irritating. One evening, Lin Yao found him on the palace wall overlooking the city. The sunset turned the broken throne hall gold. You refuse the regency again, he said. You sound surprised. I am practicing sounding surprised. It may become useful in civilian life. She leaned beside him. They will ask again. Yes. I will refuse again. Yes. You could sound less pleased. I could. Below, the capital moved in uneven music. Hammers, arguments, street vendors, temple bells, children, carts, all the ordinary noise obedience had once mistaken for disorder. Lin Yao looked at her palm. The heavenly bell mark had faded, not gone, but quieter. For the first time since her rebirth, its silence did not feel like waiting. I do not know who I am without the next disaster, she said. Wei Han did not answer quickly. That was one of the reasons she trusted him. Good, he said at last, then you get to find out. At dawn the next morning, Lin Yao left the palace by the eastern gate. Kaixu came to see her off, Dragon Seal packed beneath a travel cloak. Lion arrived with the sea mirror covered in plain cloth and a list of coastal witnesses longer than her patience. Rui came last, walking slowly, still thin, still alive. No one knelt. Lin Yao looked at them. The general who had learned love without command, the witness who chose fear and moved anyway, the princess who remembered a drowned kingdom, the prince who accepted guilt without surrender. The city behind them rang with ordinary mourning. The sun rose over the capital. For a moment, the light caught the broken throne hall, the palace roofs, the open gates, and the faces of people standing on their own feet. Lin Yao smiled. Then she walked into a life that did not need to be legend yet.